At Shelter A.
And to get down there, you're going to have to cross a few obstacles, such as Fat Man's Misery. Now, Fat Man's Misery is about twice the length of this shelter here, and what's going to happen is that the cave walls are kind of going to hug you, okay? You're going to kind of be sashaying your way to get through, okay? And then from there, you're going to have to make your way to Tall Man's Agony, all right? Where you're going to have to bend down very, very, very low to the ground just to get through. It's about the length of this shelter here. And it's not so much as the ceiling becomes low or anything like that, so much as the floor rises up. So you're going to kind of have to step into that position. And a lot of the people, you know, it's great bending down that way, but then it's the getting back up that's the issue. So please consider your limitations before you go on this cave tour today, okay? Because we do have a lot of steps, we've got a lot of obstacles to face. And another one of those obstacles as well, when you get 310 feet below the surface, is going back up that same amount of feet.
For those of you that didn't catch the first half, today is October the 1st. It is a Monday, 2018, 1:45 in the afternoon, and I'm in Kentucky going on the historic Mammoth Cave tour. Just the last vlog I did the, what was it called, Domes and Dripstone. So this is part number 2, and making a day of it. Wow. Everybody's putting on their jackets. Feels like a lot of cold air coming out of the cave, but I think it's only 54 degrees. So get used to it once we're down in there.
When you go to those other caves, what do you normally expect to see? A whole lot of formations, right? The stalactite, stalagmites, things like that. Well, sorry to disappoint you guys, but that is not something that you're going to be seeing on your cave tour today. The thing about Mammoth Cave is that we're kind of like an anomaly in the fact that we don't really have a whole lot of formations. But that's what makes us so cool. That's what makes us the longest cave in the world. And you guys are going to get those bragging rights today.
Alright, we are going down into the cave now. This is historic entrance.
Down here, and that was about 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. However, when those people came down to Mammoth Cave, those prehistoric Native Americans, they found the cave in a lot of a different view than how we see it today. They saw something white and sparkly and shimmering that encrusted the cave walls and ceiling. It was something called gypsum, a mineral that is only found in specific dry locations in Mammoth Cave. So they mined this gypsum out. Now what they use it for, we have no idea. It wasn't rediscovered until the late 1700s when the cave was rediscovered. So you could chalk up your definition of discovery to a legend of a boy named John Houchins, who back in the late 1700s, his job was to provide for his family. And to provide for your family, you had to hunt back then. So that's what he was doing, walking around Mammoth Cave's property one day. He was out hunting and had spotted a black bear. However, when he aimed that long Kentucky rifle at him, tried shooting at that bear, the bullet had missed. And the black bear, scared, ran straight into that historic entrance that you guys dared to go through. Now John Houchins, being the good hunter that he wasn't going to let a good meal go to waste. So he ran straight in after that bear, thereby rediscovering Mammoth Cave. Now we're not too sure if that's true or not. That is just a legend. But we do know that there was a Houchins family that did live near the property. And this passageway that you guys are standing in right now is actually called Houchins Narrows. So named after that legend and named after that family. Kind of neat, right?
Yeah. How big this cavern is. Wow. It's gigantic.
But right here, I'd like to stop here because now you know where that piping system led. Right here. This is actually the remnants of a saltpeter mining operation. You see, when they found something special in the soil, it was something special that sparked their interest. They were nitrate in the dirt. And so they set up a huge piping system down here. Actually took down a whole lot of tulip poplar trees that were popular in the area. See what I did there? Popular. Okay. So then his farm goes out with a scoop and auger and decided to pipe in water, the same water that was trickling down from the historic entrance that you just passed by, and let that water trickle into these big wooden boxes that they filled with a whole lot of the dirt. That water and dirt was then allowed to settle for about a week or so, and was then leached out to a whole nother tray underneath it, and they then pumped what they then nicknamed niter beer out of a second set of pipes out of the historic entrance and into what could really only be described as a big witch's cauldron. No, they added sugar, spice, and everything nice. Just kidding. And then boiled that all down to the saltpeter crystals. What do you guys know that saltpeter is used for?
Gunpowder.
Yeah, and so they actually shipped that off by horse-drawn carriage over 400 miles to the DuPont company in Delaware. Anybody heard of E.I. DuPont? Yeah, still the same company that we've got today, but that's how E.I. DuPont got his start, by transferring that saltpeter, adding charcoal and sulfur to that war of 1812. So what you guys are seeing right over here are remnants, are historical artifacts that have been preserved in Mammoth Cave for over 200 years. In 1815, the next year, 1816, marked the beginning of our tours. So this is a 202-year tradition leading people inside Mammoth Cave. And you guys get to be a part of that tradition today. So how cool is that? Very cool. But back in the 1800s, tours were a lot different, okay? For one thing, you had nothing but a lantern to light your way. So very, very different, right? And back in the 1800s, well, you didn't have a whole lot of tour options to choose from. You didn't have a Mammoth Passage tour, a historic tour, domes and dripstones tour, anything like that. You just had two tour options, a short tour and a long tour. So how many of you, by show of hands, would have taken the short tour? What about the long tour?
Ooh, right here.
Yeah, up for that adventure. What if I told you that that short tour lasted anywhere from 6 to 8 hours long? And that long tour lasted up to 14 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, still up for that adventure?
Yeah.
So, I mean, from here to the historic entrance, it could have taken several hours, though, because keep in mind, you didn't have a whole lot of these nice trails that you're walking on today. What they were walking across was pretty rocky terrain. So what you've been seeing alongside the path, not only that, but women and men, you were dressed differently, too. I mean, women, you'd have your corsets, your crinolines, your big hoop skirts, your knee-high, high-heeled boots. You'd have a parasol in case a rock fell on you. And then you'd have your three-piece suits, your top hat, and your slick dress shoes. So very, very different. Also, this lantern that you see here is actually the replica of a whale oil lantern. But what are we lacking in Kentucky? Whales. Yeah. So not a whole lot of whales, but what Kentucky is well known for is a whole lot of good, greasy food. So before your short tour or your long tour, you'd have a big breakfast. And that breakfast would consist of country ham. It would consist of scrambled eggs and bacon and all those lovely greasy foods. And all that grease would fuel your day in more ways than one. Okay, we had a whole lot of guides and a whole lot of visitors coming down through here. And one visitor in particular that I do want to share with you guys is a visitor by the name of Joseph Nash McDowell. And Joseph Nash McDowell, he was just an exceptional visitor. He was very, very eccentric. You see, he was actually a doctor, a medical doctor, and what he did was he researched bodies. but this was during the 1800s. And how did you study bodies back then?
Dig them up.
Dig them up, yeah. So he was actually a grave digger, and he actually ran his own medical college. And funny thing about him is that in the basement of his medical college, he had a live bear because he was always paranoid that somebody was out to get him. He also wore body armor around the school as well. Very, very, very interesting man. He also, there's a record of him once speaking extemporaneously on the evils of alcohol while only taking a couple of breaks to take a couple of sips of gin. So very, very intriguing, interesting guy. But he came down here not because of, you know what a whole lot of people come here for is because they're curious. He came down here because he thought that the cave had medicinal benefits. You see, since he had that medical background, he figured that with the cave's constant temperature and humidity, that it would have medicinal benefits, that it could even cure life after death. He thought that he could actually take bodies down here that he had dug up and preserve them, and maybe for the scientists and researchers who came down here hundreds and hundreds of years later, that they could come up with a cure, that they could resurrect them. Now, when he came to the owner of Mammoth Cave, who went by the name of Dr. John Cron, I'll talk about him later, what do you think that Dr. John Cron said to that proposal? No. So he actually decided to go to another cave. Actually went to a cave in Missouri called Mark Twain Cave. Anybody heard of that? Yeah, and so he had actually done that experiment there. But why am I talking to you guys about Joseph Nash McDowell, who didn't really even have any association with Mammoth Cave, who just came down through here, who was a visitor?
Did he leave bodies here?
No.
Okay.
No, so the reason that I'm sharing this information with you guys is because he was a visitor. Because he was standing pretty much where you guys are standing right now. He was a visitor just like you. And right over there, he decided to leave his mark. Joseph Nash McDowell, 1839, upon the giant's coffin. So who knows, there could be a mad doctor among you all as well.
This must be the tall man's misery they were talking about. I'll turn into a hunchback. We're reaching a spot where you can only go through one at a time. A little bit bottlenecked. Okay, that's what was bottlenecking everyone right there. You really got to hunch over. Ugh. Okay, not bumping my head today. Not bumping my head today. Some more historic graffiti here. I believe this was soot from either candles or lanterns from back in the 1800s. That one says 1838 right there. Oh my goodness. The bottomless pit there. Oh, you can actually see the bottom of it. There's another 1838 right there. Wow, 1838 must have been a popular year out here. This we're up here on this walkway. I'm just overlooking this drop that looks like it's got to be at least, well, I can't even see the bottom. We're not supposed to touch the rocks, but a bunch of people have touched this one because it is low. Okay, this is Tall Man's Agony. So what we've been walking through up until now was just kind of a, you know, a here and there you have to bend down kind of thing. This is going to be a long corridor of walking like Igor. Brains! I need brains for my master! This is what the corridor looks like in front of me. I think we're all stopped here for a second.
Did you make it, Randall?
Yep. Okay, we got some really slick rocks making up something you gotta step on.
Going up some steps here.
Here we go. I gotta stay really hunched over here. Oh man. I can actually stand up straight now. It's relieving in more than one way. There's an actual men's room here. Oh, we got a break from the 1838. Look, we've got 1839. Moving on up. 1855. We're on the way back up now.
I don't fall.
So, we hit the lowest point, now we're on the gradual rise back up, and then we're going to have to go up the, there's going to be a set of stairs, like a big spiral staircase thing. I did this once before, I remember it. Spectacular to look at, hard to climb. Alright, so there we are. Got a long chimney going up there. The water splashing all the way down. And right next to it, the stairs. The start of the stairs that we have to climb. And they go up and 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 up. And we're reaching the part of the stairs that goes past this barrier up here, so you can't see back down. But yeah. Okay, we're back in the saltpeter mine corridor we came in through, so we're doubling back. This is pretty much the end of the tour. Here we go. We're back in the Kentucky heat. And my glasses are fogging up. The story behind the pad that we had to walk through with the soap bubbles, the soapy water pad thing that we had to walk through, that is to wash off fungus that causes something called white nose syndrome in the local bats. And the way it works is, during the winter, if the bats get this fungus growing on them, when they stay still for a week at a time, their metabolism and body temperature lowers to about 40 degrees, where the fungus is able to grow. It starts to cling to their body and grows over their body, making it where they have to wake up and go pretty much stretch their wings and shake the fungus off way too often. So they end up burning through the winter reserves of fat that they've built up way too soon. So they're waking up in February while it is still cold, flying out into frigid Kentucky February and freezing to death. So about 90% of the bat population has died from white nose syndrome, and they're thinking that this fungus actually originated somewhere in Germany, and it is not native to here. Came here from apparently tourism, and now it is spreading from cave to cave. So they do not want it to spread to more caves. They're doing their best to get people's feet cleaned off before they leave, because if it's on your hands, you know, everybody washes their hands once every few hours. If it's on your clothes, people wash their clothes pretty often. But if it's on your shoes, nobody washes their shoes. They are doing their best to try to keep this white nose syndrome from killing off all the bats. It's the best they can do. I'm back inside the visitor center now. Right here, this map. Let's see. If you watched the first video, the vlog before this one, that tour that I took with the, what was it called? Dripstone and Domes? Domes and Dripstones?
Yes, sir.
That was right around here.
Yes. You went in this door, came out across the Niagara.
Okay. But the one I just came out of was the historic tour, which is the yellow, right?
Yes.
And it was the yellow, so it was much longer. Also, the visitor center has got this little museum here, and with all the story times that happened in the cave, I'm sure we're going a little long, so I'm going to spare you guys the museum. Just know I've been through here before, and if you do come to Mammoth Cave, give yourself a few extra minutes to go through this museum. I'm going to show you a few little walkthrough things on it, but keep it very short.
Floyd Collins found a massive cave passage that he named Great Crystal.
That voice you're hearing from that video is Micro from Dirty Jobs. A very informative video. I've seen the entire thing. Definitely worth sitting down and watch whenever you come through here on your own. Okay, here's the saltpeter mine that we saw. Right here. We're using those ingredients to make a niter liquor, which was then used to make gunpowder to supply the cannons for the Civil War. And that is going to be it for Mammoth Cave. Now, as far as that historic tour goes, I had a much better experience last year. And a lot of that was because I had a different tour guide last year. This tour guide seemed like she was rushing through everything, and I know it doesn't seem like that from the video because she did take her time to do at least a couple of good story times. But the last tour guide I had, he seemed like he was a lot more knowledgeable and actually enjoyed his job and didn't mind, you know, savoring the different parts of the cave, where she just seemed like she wanted to get through it. We went by a couple of gravestones right there at the beginning, and I remember, I think his name was Stephen Foster or something like that, one of the tour guides, the famous tour guides from back in the 1800s. He was actually a slave back then, but was still a very famous tour guide. I think that was his grave in there. But she didn't even stop at those gravestones to even say that's who it was, or even tell a little bit of that story. And when she did the story about the Mad Doctor, that was right by the giant's casket. And the other tour guide actually showed us how if you shine the light on it just right and move the light, it actually looks like the lid on that casket is starting to slide off. And she didn't do that. Either she didn't know the story, didn't know you could do that, or she just wanted to rush on past. And it really felt like even near the end that she was just like, let's go. She just wanted to get her shift over. When we were going up the stairs, it felt like she was even turning off lights behind us in order to motivate us to get going faster, because near the middle, even closer to the bottom, the tail end of the group was actually climbing some of the last few flights of stairs in the dark because she had shut the lights off early, and I had my flashlight out and was shining it, you know, on the ground so I wouldn't trip over the steps, because she just wanted everybody to keep moving. It's a fantastic cave, a fantastic tour. It was definitely worth the money, but I really feel like it could be a lot better of an experience with a tour guide that actually likes their job. And but that's just luck of the draw, though. That's just luck of the draw. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, please don't forget to hit that like button, leave comments, leave questions, leave suggestions, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. Share this vlog around. Love you all very much, and I will see you again on the next one.